Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
Everyone's experienced those times throughout the day where you feel like you just can't focus, or you're having a very difficult time completing just simple tasks of your job, or maybe you're studying, or you're reading an article that you find intriguing, but you find yourself rereading it multiple times because you just keep losing focus. This is a big problem, and there's certainly a difference between ADHD and stress-induced loss of brain connectivity, one would say. So I want to talk about a particular formulation that can do so much when it comes to enhancing our ability to focus and pay attention and get things done by supporting our little neurons in our brain. So I'm Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and when we think about ADHD, for example, we know in adults, it's roughly about 4% of the US population is diagnosed as having ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. We see that level is generally higher in males than it is females. And we know that this is certainly problematic for those who have that type of a diagnosis. And many times people are put on different medications, usually stimulants. You would think, well, why would you use a stimulant for someone that's already having hyperactivity? But the point with that is to try to kind of flood those neurons and those biochemical and neurotransmitter pathways to induce a more steady state and create more calm. And it really kind of comes down to when we think about our autonomic nervous system and understanding the difference between the functional roles of our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous system. And if our sympathetic nervous system is on overdrive and we don't have any braking ability coming from our parasympathetic, then this certainly can lead to issues such as disruption in sleep, loss of focus, having difficult time with paying attention. And many of these things can be corrected or fixed just through lifestyle modifications alone. So if someone is under high amounts of stress, just taking 5 minutes a day to breathe, really have meditative breathing, or to do, guided imagery. There are many things that we can do to help that braking effect of that parasympathetic nervous system. And this oftentimes gets everything back into check. Now, many people, maybe they have a difficult time saying, I'm not going to do yoga, or I'm not going to, sit here for 5 minutes and focus on my breathing, which, by the way, it's 5 simple minutes of your day. But there are people who are at this high level of stress who just say, I don't have time for that. So in that respect, then I would be looking at, well, what can we do foundationally to support our brain in a much more productive manner? Well, we can look at utilizing key vitamins, amino acids, antioxidants, fatty acids that can potentiate certainly much more efficient pathway function in the brain. So we know that many people suffer from this. Sometimes it's episodic, sometimes it's chronic, where you feel like, I always have a loss of focus. In that setting, like I said, going down that meditation path is usually going to be your best option. Mind-body medicine is a very real thing, and understanding how we can do so much in terms of auto-regulating just through the autonomic nervous system. And we have a lot of control over that. Just people usually get to the point where they just feel like they're just burnt out and they've kind of given up. And they accept it for what it is. This is just my life, and I'm just always stressed. And it certainly does not need to be that way. So I want to focus in on the Cerebral Care formulation. This is a Dr. Pressman formula. And this is a combination of key nutrients to really optimize our ability to target stress in the body, to enhance our focus and our attention, and to even help to support better memory retention, because most people have been through this. If you're at a high level of stress, the likelihood that you remember things throughout the day, not that good, because the brain it has to try to protect itself. And so this is why utilizing the Cerebral Care formulation is a really nice way to initiate all of this rebalancing. So this is a combination of inositol, acetyl L-carnitine. It has CDP choline in this, it has phosphatidylserine, and it has astaxanthin. So the astaxanthin we know is certainly beneficial in terms of fending off oxidative stress within our neuronal area. So when we think about our brain cells and the reactive oxygen species that can create havoc within those brain cells, the astaxanthin is a powerful algae-based carotenoid or antioxidant that can help to fend that off. And then we look at the combination of those phospholipids utilizing phosphatidylserine and CDP choline. And then we have inositol. Now, inositol is really quite interesting because inositol is, in a sense, a B complex vitamin. And it's very important when we think about our brain cells and the cell-to-cell communication that occurs. So by having adequate inositol, this can really help to trigger that focus and that attention. So when you're utilizing the Cerebral Care formulation, which is a powder, so you just take 1 scoop of this and, get your day going, you are now nourishing your brain cells with all of these key nutrients. So we have the acetyl L-carnitine, which we know is going to help to facilitate energy production within the brain and at that ATP generation level within the mitochondria. We have those key phospholipids that do so much in terms of structural stability within the brain. And looking at the phosphatidylserine in particular, we know that this has certainly been shown to really have a powerful impact on our HPA axis, or the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. So where we are dealing with elevated levels of stress, which is maybe triggering an overactive adrenal response, that phosphatidylserine can do a lot to combat that. They've even shown that when they give phosphatidylserine to students before going in and taking a big exam, how this can help to downregulate that adrenal hyperactivity and help to create more of that calm. We've seen this time and time again, the way that phosphatidylserine is really much more than we thought it was initially, just as a phospholipid for the membrane support of the cell. We now realize that it's doing a lot of other functions. And then when you partner that up with CDP choline, then you really get a power punch. And when we think about the role of choline, the amino acid choline, we know that this is very important for proper methylation in the body. And if we don't have adequate methylation that's occurring, we're going to have a difficult time when it comes to proper detoxification. So when we think about excess oxidative stress or chemical induced, and chemicals coming from foods that you're eating, from the environment that you live in, so the air that you're breathing, we know that this can have a real harmful effect. So by having methylation pathways functioning the way that we need them to, we can definitely combat a lot of those day-to-day stressors much better. So when we see how this powerful amino acid, when it's partnered up with that fat, how this can really support a whole slew of different things within the body. When you look at your sleep cycle, when we look at the ability to manufacture acetylcholine, I mean, that's kind of one of the main things with CDP choline is the enhanced ability to formulate or synthesize the key neurotransmitter acetylcholine. And we know that acetylcholine is vital when it comes to memory, when it comes to sleep, when it comes to the way that our body moves. And as with everything in the body, our normal production of acetylcholine begins to go down as we grow older. Now, acetylcholine, low levels of acetylcholine have been directly implicated in things such as Alzheimer's disease, which is why many of the drugs that target Alzheimer's are acetylcholine supporting drugs. They're trying to block the breakdown of acetylcholine because we know that we have to have acetylcholine for this. So when we think about focus, attention, just brain function in general, this is where that CDP choline can certainly yield us a whole heck of a lot of benefit. And inositol, I just want to mention this. We know that this has been studied in the setting of attention deficit disorder, and it has shown that it has these very powerful behavioral effects. So when people are utilizing inositol on a regular basis, you're getting more of that cell-to-cell communication support. And they've been looking at inositol's impact on focus and attention for the past probably 3 decades now. So we certainly know that there are many different ways in which these different nutrients can certainly support us. We can look at acetyl-L-carnitine, that beyond of energy production. We can see how that has also been studied in the setting of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and the mechanism by how the scientific researchers have hypothesized that the acetyl-L-carnitine is working is through the modulation of neural transmission by helping to increase acetylcholine production and really allowing for that proper release of the other neurotransmitters, including dopamine. So when we think about focus and attention and what can I do? Well, first we need to figure out how to manage our stress better, but we also can be taking a powerful blended nutrient formulation such as Cerebral Care that can really enhance our body's ability to, restore focus, to maintain good attention, to help to support, once again, the memory capabilities within the brain. So when we're thinking about learning new things, making new memories, and staying attention to detail, the Cerebral Care is a really nice way for you to achieve these things. So that is all that I have for you for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts, or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Now, do make sure that you subscribe and you leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health, and we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.